Iran versus America. It feels like this story has been going on forever, right? Decades of bad blood, sanctions, and just constant tension. But where did this all start? How did we get here?
I mean, think about it. There are 57 Islamic countries in the world. So why are the US and Israel so laser-focused on Iran? What makes them so special, so different from everyone else? That's really the core question we're going to unpack.
And to find the answer, like with so many of these big geopolitical stories, we've got to go back. Way back. We're talking World War II.
So let's get into it. And you might be surprised to learn that this whole thing doesn't start with a revolutionary cleric. Nope, it starts with a king, and a king who was basically handpicked to be a friend to the West.
So here's what happened. It's World War II, and Iran's leader at the time, he decides to side with Hitler. Big mistake. Britain was not having that, so they just invaded. They kicked the king out and put his 22-year-old son, Reza Shah Pahlavi, on the throne. The thinking was, he's young, he'll be easy to control, a loyal puppet.
And boy, did he follow their lead. The new Shah went all in on westernization. I mean, a radical push. He banned the hijab, he started shutting down mosques and religious schools, he threw Islamic scholars in jail. And at the same time, he's promoting alcohol, Western-style parties. Get this, he even turned Iran into a major exporter of booze in an Islamic country. You can imagine how that went over with a lot of people.
But all of that pushing away from tradition was about to come to a head. The Shah was on the verge of making what was probably the single biggest mistake of his entire rule, and it all revolved around a party. But not just any party, the most expensive party in the world.
The optics here were just terrible. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have the Shah throwing this insane bash to celebrate the old Persian Empire. We're talking 600 limos for his guests, food served on solid gold plates. And on the other side, the actual Iranian people dealing with food shortages and real poverty. The message it sent was loud and clear. This guy is completely out of touch. He's living on a different planet.
So you've got this massive disconnect, right? This huge vacuum of leadership. And someone was about to step in and fill it. But it wasn't going to be another royal from a palace. It was an exiled cleric, and he was going to use, well, cassette tapes.
That leader, of course, was Ayatollah Khomeini. He was this really influential scholar, and he was smart. He didn't just say the Shah was a bad king. He called him the Yazid of our time. Now, to us, that might not mean much, but Yazid is a major villain in Islamic history, like pure evil. So framing it that way, it hit deep with the people.
The Shah saw this happening, got nervous, and kicked Khomeini out of the country. But here's the brilliant part. That didn't stop a thing. From his exile in Iraq, Khomeini started recording these fiery speeches on cassette tapes. Then people would smuggle them into Iran, make copies, and pass them around. His message just spread like wildfire. It was a low-tech, genius way to get around all the state's censorship.
And it worked. Khomeini's influence just exploded. The Shah's power completely fell apart. Even his massive army couldn't prop him up anymore. He saw the writing on the wall, and poof, he fled the country. This opened the door for Khomeini to come back home after 14 years.
And his return? Wow, it was something else. We're talking an estimated 7 million people packed into the streets of Tehran to welcome him. 7 million? That's a world record for any leader anywhere ever. It just shows you how much support he had.
Okay, so Khomeini is in power now, and Iran is about to change forever. But the single event that would turn the US from the Shah's buddy into Iran's #1 enemy, that was just around the corner.
And here it is, the absolute breaking point, the Iran hostage crisis. A group of Khomeini's followers stormed the US embassy in Tehran. Their demand was simple: send the Shah back to Iran to stand trial. The US said no, so they took 50 Americans hostage. And that was it. That's when the relationship shattered, the death to America chant started, and the two countries became permanent enemies.
The rest of the world freaked out. All these other countries, especially Arab nations, were terrified that Khomeini's revolution would spread to their turf. So they, along with the US, backed Saddam Hussein in Iraq to invade Iran. This kicked off a horrible, brutal 8-year war, which only made Iran feel more isolated and more determined to stand its ground.
So after that devastating war, Iran's leaders looked around and thought, okay, we can never let that happen again. How do we guarantee our survival? And they came to one conclusion. They needed the ultimate insurance policy. They needed a nuclear program.
And the key piece of tech for this whole thing is something called a centrifuge. It sounds complicated, but you can basically think of it like a souped-up washing machine, but for atoms. You just load it with uranium and spin it really, really fast.
And here's the rub. This is the whole problem right here. If you spin that uranium for a little while, you get low-enriched fuel. Totally fine. Great for nuclear power plants. But if you let it keep spinning for a long time, you enrich it up to 90%, and that's bomb-grade material. So the same machine can be used for peace or for war. That's the heart of the whole standoff. Now, Iran's official story has always been the same. Our program is for peaceful energy only. Their supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, even issued a fatwa, a religious ruling saying that nuclear weapons are haram, forbidden in Islam. But the critics have a counter-argument. They point to an Islamic concept called taqiyya, and what this basically means is that in certain situations, it's permissible to lie or hide your true beliefs to protect yourself or your community. So the argument goes, maybe that fatwa isn't the final word. Maybe it's a strategic move to give them cover while they work on a bomb in secret. And it's this deep, fundamental distrust on both sides that's created the mess we're in today. It's just this endless loop of deals, sanctions, and sabotage. It feels like it never stops.
And the main weapon the U.S. has used in all of this, sanctions, and they have been absolutely devastating. They've crippled Iran's economy, which should be rich from oil, and have caused just incredible hardship for regular Iranian people.
For a hot second there in 2015, it looked like we had a breakthrough, the Iran nuclear deal. Iran agrees to limit its program, the world lifts sanctions. Seemed like a win-win. But then, just 3 years later, President Trump pulled the U.S. out, slapped all the sanctions back on, and tensions went through the roof. I mean, it led to the U.S. assassinating a top Iranian general and pretty much killed any hope of new talks.
And through all of this, for years, there's been one warning we keep hearing over and over, especially from Israel.
But here's the kicker. That line, Iran is just months away from a bomb, they've been saying that for 25 years, a quarter of a century.
So, that brings us right back to where we are now. We've seen decades of hostility, broken deals, and this never-ending cycle of suspicion, and it really just leaves you with one big question, doesn't it? With a conflict that's this old and this bitter, is a new beginning even on the table?